and I hope you have a happy new year on this New Year's Eve video. And here we are again. It feels like yesterday that I was doing the 2024 video, and here I am doing the video for 2025. So it's going to be an emotional year ahead. It's been a very, very busy year. Oh, so much achieved, so much done. The universal year pounded me this year. And, you know, I was in a one personal year until around October. So it was extra powerful for me. And even since October, when I went into my two personal year, the energy has still been manic, but I have started getting into the planning stages of a few more projects that are to come for next year that relate very much to tarot, but also very strongly to numerology. Anyway, let's get back to this year's video. Now, last year, wow, like I said, busy year. The energy of the 8 universal year, leadership, success, goal achievement, getting things done. The universe pounded us with, can you do this? Can you do this? Do this, do that, recognition, jobs to do, work to do. Very busy year. The year has shot by for me because of the huge amount I've had going on. And what with my one personal year, until October, or that round about that time when it starts to merge to the 2 year. Oh, what a busy year, but also productive. A lot of things were very productive this year for me, as well as being really busy. You may have considered, if you're into that kind of thing, financial investments last year. You might have sold your assets. You might have bought new ones. You might have really progressed your business and been recognised. You might have earned money. You might have also lost money. There's, you know, it's within a year of makes and losses at the end of the day. Very much the universe thing of having a lot of money or you know, us noticing those that have got a lot of money and realizing that us as a people haven't got much money at all. So it's been very much about that in the universe. And it's made us considered whether we're recognized, you know, and we may have considered our worth last year, asked ourselves questions like, you know, how am I being treated? Is it getting to a point now where I'm starting to have enough, you know? Am I treated the way I want to be treated? Am I paid my worth? You know, you've been recognized. You may have been doing something for a great many years. Do you need to make some changes? Well, the 9 universal year 2025 is going to do that for the whole world. And of course, it's going to filter down towards us as well, because what happens in the world ends things for us fundamentally, and it's about how we manage that. You know, the 9 universal year is about endings in the world, okay, dealing with that ending, whatever it may be. Now, with any ending, there's people that are happy, people that are not happy, and people that don't care about any endings or the implications of that ending. So these endings often create a bit of division as a void is created. You know, you can end things, but what you're going to bring in next, that's next year. So this year is quite an emotional year, 2025, because there's going to be endings and then there's going to be a void and some chaos after it. And it's dealing with that ending as a collective. And of course, as we filter it down into our own lives. Do we need to rebel against it? Do we need to adapt? Do we need to let go? Or do we need to just ready ourselves to move on? It depends on your personal values and how the changes in the world affect you physically and emotionally, and your beliefs. You know, it's not something that is going to be an easy ride this year. Last year was really about achievement and getting things done and success, and the year's probably flown by for people, and you know, this Christmas everyone's going to be totally exhausted. But next year it's going to be more emotional. It's going to be an emotional year. It's endings that need to be understood, adapted to, rebelled against, changed. There might be action groups that step up and start thinking, okay, you can end that, but you got to do it like this, not like that, because not all endings end perfectly. So there's going to be some people that rise up and say, okay, well, either I'm not going to deal with this ending, it's not going to happen, or you need to change how you end this because people are struggling or it's not working for us. So there's going to be a lot of upheaval, chaos, emotion in the world. Big change. Old ways will end to bring in the new. Again, like I said, some will rebel, some will agree, some will not care. Okay, there's going to be winners, new losers at the end of the day. Emotional reactions, potential conflict, unless we can come together as one big collective, which is not easy, or even smaller collectives, that have positive intentions in mind. I do foresee, potential negative conflict, even riots in the street if we're not careful. But we've got to try and, get past the storm, get back to the norm so that we can perform as a human collective. So the energy of the 9 universal year, ending of old ways at the end of the day. The goal achievement and the financial matters and the busyness of the 8 year are ebbing away now. It's less about getting things done and, making money or trying not to lose money or struggling to manage money. You will be spending more time witnessing world change and trying to adapt our lives with the implications and feeling the implications of whatever's happening in the world. It's less about your accomplishment and action in the universe this year. It's going to be more about learning to adapt, dealing with any knee-jerk reactions or emotions that might come with that. And, there's the forming, the storming, the norming and the performing. And where are we going to be on that process? Are we going to go straight to the norm? Are we going to storm? How are we going to adapt? Because these endings may cause storms, conflicts, difficulties before the new norm is created. And this void, it can be a chaos and quite emotional void, because it's 2026 that the new ideas really start coming in to replace the destruction of this year. So again, this isn't going to necessarily a negative year. There'll be bad endings, of course. But again, it's about perception. Do you consider it a bad ending? Or is it a bad ending for all? Like things blowing up, that's more like a bad ending for all. But there might be policy changes. There might be things happening in the financial world that might bring changes to how we work. Some people are going to like that. Some people are not going to like that. Some people will consider it positive, some negative. Of course, there's some endings that are negative for everyone. If the world blows up, it's not going to be a good thing. But of course, that's not going to happen. But again, whether it's a positive or a negative ending depends on our perceptions and our values and how we take in that situation. And then of course it's how we react to that. Do we rebel against it? Do we form collective action in order either to stop it or bring change, or do we just adapt to that change? Because that's the void, that's the chaos of 2025 before we start to settle into some new beginnings in 2026. And even then, the new beginnings won't fit everyone, and there might still be some upheaval, because the one the one universal year, very powerful, the universal year, because it affects everyone. In the 1 year also brings new beginnings that a lot of people will like or dislike or not care about. So, it's a couple of years of upheaval in the world. Let's just put it that way, people. 2024 was demanding and it was busy. But 2025 is going to be emotional, and quite unstable. Even world ideas, situations from 2017 might be coming to an end or transforming this year. Think deeply about the endings that come about in 2025, the wider implications of those endings and how they impact you personally. Because as I said, if it affects you personally, and there's a collective group. I mean, if you're on your own, you're going to struggle. But if there's others that are affected personally like you, there could be either you're involved or others in the world will be involved in uprisings, collectives, hopefully not riots and injury and anything like that. We don't want that, collectives pulling together peacefully to try and bring and campaign for better endings, maybe to change the way it's done. This year is conducive for ending things, for things that no longer serve, but it's endings for things that no longer serve those in power, because the universal energy around us is very much, as we know, directed by those that have power over us, the politicians, the business leaders, the bankers, and the endings are going to be endings that may suit those in power. That's why I'm going on about the potential collective action, because what's good for the powerful is not necessarily good for the collective or all of the collective. We've got to understand that change is inevitable, always going to happen. Nothing's going to stay the same, but it's how we manage this change. Are we going to be open-minded? Are we going to try to avoid or get totally into the knee-jerk reactions? Are we going to go with it? Are we going to adapt? Or are we just going to push it under the carpet and hope it goes away? Personally, though, it's because the energy, even if it's not your personal year energy, the universal energy is so strong. It will be a good year for you to use it for your personal situation, removing things from life that no longer serve you. Difficult emotions that you don't want to feel anymore. Think about how you're going to get rid of them. Difficult thoughts, managing your ego. How can I get this negativity out? It's, enough is enough now. How can I make my thoughts more positive? Then that will filter down to better action in the world. When you're feeling and you're thinking more positively, the actions just flow better. The way you express yourself in the world flows much better. People and things in your life that no longer serve, even though, again, it's going to be an emotional upheaval if you're getting rid of people. And sometimes if you're getting rid of things, we can get quite emotionally attached to certain things. But, we only have limited space. And even clearing out your wardrobe, ending things, creating a void, clear a space in your life. Clear out, take some things to the charity shop, make a clean space ready this year, because this is the creation of the void. This is the clearing out of the old. This is getting rid of all your old clothes that no longer fit your kids and books they no longer read, and creating space on your bookshelf, space in your wardrobe, because next year there's going to be some nice new books, nice shiny new books and nice flashy new clothes that you will have in your wardrobe. Everything ends, the dusty goes, and we move on. I need to stop gabbling. But not as powerful, but actually, unfortunately, more powerful, more influential for you is your personal year. Now, the universal year is massive, and it will, if you let it, the universal year is just going to take over like a torrent because it's so powerful. But knowing your personal year too is really, really important, even though it's not as powerful and it's going to be more difficult to follow your personal year. It's something that's more personal to you and your life. So it's important to understand, okay, the universe is doing this. My personal year is this. How can I bring those two together? How can I deal with the power of the universe and manage it with my own personal year? But when does the personal year start? Now, some think that the personal year starts at the universal year. For some, that might be the case. The universal year changes, but it's possible that the personal year stays the same until your birthday. However, not everyone believes that. It's very much a big question in numerology. I feel that you have the changes when the universal year changes, because the interaction between your personal year and and the universal year changes because the universal year changes. But maybe it depends on the person. The personal changes and the priorities of the personal year don't start to go until your birthday. Not everybody agrees with that, though. They think that their personal year starts at their universal year. And as long as they feel that intuitively and it works in their life, then that's great. I'm not here to tell someone when their personal year starts. I tend to feel that, my personal year it starts in... See, the difficult thing is I start to feel the change in my energy in the autumn, which is where my birthday is. However, if it's at the end of the universal year, the change, you might start feeling that in the autumn too. So it's very much been an intuitive thing for me, that I feel that my personal year really starts in October. But yours might start on the 1st of January. You've got to go your own way with that. Okay, but if you feel, let's say you were born in June, then your personal year doesn't start till the June of 2025. You're still in your personal year from last year, okay? Even if you were born in December, it's interesting, you'll stay in that personal year until your birthday, and it'll feel like you're almost a year behind. So you've got to read that intuitively, depending on what you feel is right for you. That's really, really important. So if you don't know your personal year, let's give you a little quick rundown, as I do every year. So I was born, on the 29th of October, okay? So I've got to add the 29th of October numerologically to the universal year, okay? So I was born on the 29th. So if I reduce that down, we get 11, but there's no 11 energy in the epicycle, so we drop down to that 2. I was born in October, so that's 1. So I'm adding, if you look at the sum at the bottom, the 2 for my day of birth, the 1 for my month of birth, and I'm adding that to the 9 for the universal year, which makes 12, which reduces to 3. So in 2025, in October 2025, if you feel that, I feel that in October 2025, I'm going to tip into a 3 personal year, which I'm quite excited about, because 3 personal years is about socializing and having a bit of fun and maybe doing some fun new things. So lots of collaboration and friendship and fun sounds good to me. So let's have a look at what your personal year is and how that might interact. So for me, in the 9 universal year of endings, I'm in a 2 personal year at the moment that started in October. And, my personal year is supposed to be a low ebb year for me to nurture new beginnings. And there's going to be a lot of upheaval in the world. So it'll be interesting to see how the emotions of the world impacts me on an emotional 2 year. So it could be, for me, as a 2 year, more an emotional year, because the 2 energy is quite emotional. Anyway, let's go to the 1. Just a bit of self-thinking there. So in a 9 year, lots and lots of endings. But if you're in a 1 personal year, you're thinking new beginnings. Bringing new things, new people, new projects into your life, getting new ideas out there. You might start initiating new ideas. Now, this could be related to the endings in the world, because every ending, right, brings a new beginning. So if you've got a 1 personal year next year, depending on the month of your birthday, the endings in the world could bring some new opportunities. So you're going to be the kind of person in 2025 that thinks, okay, so that's ending and this is ending. What new beginnings could we bring in? How could we, it's going to be ahead of time, but you could be the first to bring in the new beginnings that are needed. However, you might be a bit quick off the mark, while everyone's still crying about the void, you're pushing forward for something new. So there's going to be a bit of an issue there, possibly, with situations, organizations, people not being ready for your new beginnings. But personally, your new beginnings could move forward a lot faster, and maybe a bit in the world too, depending on how quickly people can move on in that 9 energy. Because remember, the universal year is so powerful, and it overtakes, because our personal years are just individual, and we've got to be powerful enough to keep that one personal year alive in the sea of the universal year, which, if they're incongruent, can make for a difficult year sometimes. But it's all sent to teach us. So, like I said, 2 personal year. If you're in that 2 personal year, like me, you're nurturing new beginnings from last year. So if big things change that filter down to change in us, as others in a 2 personal year, that could bring some upheaval a little, possibly, maybe not, in whatever we're nurturing. Whatever we started last year might be disrupted by whatever's happening in the world. So nurturing those new beginnings, planning, connecting with others, it's very much a low key. If you're in a 2 personal year, it's not a year of achievement. So you're in a good energy when it comes to, sitting in the void. The 9 universal year is going to create voids, upheavals and emotions. The 2 personal year can be quite emotional. So I'm preparing myself for a potentially emotional year in 2025, and not because of just changes in the world, but because of personal emotions within me in a 2 personal year. So if you're in a 2 personal year, you're potentially nurturing things that happened last year, connecting to others in a way that is going to be useful moving forwards, and dealing with emotions, not only your own personal emotions, but any emotions that filter down from what's happening in the world. If you're in a 3 personal year, the changes in the world could work for you, because the 3 energy is very creative, very powerful. They express, they implement, they create. So when you've got this void being created, they're going to set about getting out there and thinking, how can we create the new? How can we network and talk about the situation and get through it and collaborate and build relationships and have a bit of fun while you're doing it, It can be, the 3 energy can be, you've got to be a bit careful, because you're having all this fun and collaboration. Sometimes we don't always think in a 3 year. Sometimes we go, yeah, let's do it. And then we think, oh, wish I hadn't done that. So even though it's a fun year of expressing, doing, implementing your creativity, it's also a year where you have to really stop and think at times and make sure that what you're doing isn't going to create issues anyone else. Because of the universal year of endings, you've got to take that into account as well. Will it change what you can create? Your networking, the ideas you discuss might need to change because of what's happening in the world. New laws, new situations, new policies that some people will like, some people won't. I feel some policies coming up that I'm not exactly going to be happy with, but what do I do? Do I join a collective group, or do I adapt to the change and consider it something that is just a lesson for humanity, which it's what it is. It's a lesson for humanity, So it can be potentially a fun year. Yes, it's going to be emotional. The universe is going to bring us lots of endings, and 3 energy year can be very emotional, both lows and both highs. So again, like the 2 year, it can be quite an emotional roller coaster in 2025 for you. And it looks like it's going to be for me, because from October, I tip into that 3 personal year, and I'm looking forward to the fun and maybe a bit of travel and creativity activity and getting things actioned and put into the world. But the emotional side is going to carry on. So I'm trying to, prepare myself to manifest positive emotion in the world, and try not to manifest negative emotion even when I get up in the morning feeling crabby. I know I'm not going to achieve that totally. Anyway, the 4 personal year, well, could be a difficult one. While the world is changing, policies are ending, new policies, are being discussed, the void is created. It's unstable. It's an unstable year in the world. So trying to build security, if you're in a 4 personal year and a strong foundation, it's like you're trying to build it on shifting ground, which so, it could be a difficult year for somebody who has a 4 personal year too, because the 4 year is about putting those 4 posts into the ground, about building strength, a secure foundation. It's like putting a business around ideas, or, buying a home, being strong in that home, being safe and stable and secure. And if there's changes in the world, will people still be buying and selling homes at the same rate? Will there be a crash? Will there not be a crash? We don't know. There's going to be change. So can a 4 energy, or a personal year 4, build security when the ground is shifting underneath? However, that doesn't matter. You still got to focus as a priority on, how do I build security on shifting ground? How do I build steel foundations while the world shakes around me? How do I plan for that change and persevere step by step, patiently, hopefully? Because the energy, you're calmer, you're more surreal, you're more boring in a 4 personal year, but less emotional than you'd been in the last 2 years before. So, but there will be difficulties. It may be a bit of a worrying year for you, for someone that's trying to build security with the ground shaking around you. Could be a difficult one. Okay, so prepare yourself for that, but keep your 4 personal year in mind. That doesn't mean you shouldn't keep trying to build that security. Don't give up. This is your 4 personal year. You've got the personal energy to build security and foundations in your life. Even if the ground's shaking, if you build it strong enough and you go in the right direction for 2026, there's no reason why you can't build security this year. It just might be a bit more difficult than it would have been, say, last year. 5 personal year, though, a year of chaos, change, new opportunities, adventure, expansion, change, unexpected events, though. So these unexpected events, again, can be positive or negative. You can be excited and exhilarated, or utterly shocked and destroyed, because it's a 5 year. And with the world, the universe changing under our feet, if you're in a 5 personal year too, get on your surfboard and be ready to ride those waves, because it's going to be how you deal with that change, how you adapt to it, and how you ride those waves. Basically, it's going to be a very unstable year for you. So try not to panic too much about that, because everyone goes through this energy, okay? Feel it as an energy where you can, okay, nothing's stable under my feet. How can I take all these bits that are flying around my head and create something that better for the future? Let's deal with the waves underneath and create some great dances and see what we can pull out, and how we can expand or create or bring the new from the 5 energy, if you're in a 5 personal year. And again, it depends what month you were born in. To some it starts on the universal year, but depends on the month you're born in when this energy is going to come in, but you are aware of that. The 6 personal year this year. Okay, so endings in the world, family dramas. So again, it could be quite it's like the world is fighting and disagreeing, and then the family also has things going on. It's, I say family dramas, it's not necessarily rah, 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 rah. It could be, family events. marriages, births, dispatches, hatches, you know, christenings, members of your family that need you for certain points in the year. So while the world ends around us, not the world ends, while situations, within the world ends around us, ready for that void to be created, the 6 is having to be focused on the home and the family situation. So they might be taken away from focusing on what's going on in the world to deal with whatever's going on in their family. Because, you know, family is important, and, when your family needs you, it tends to sort of overload. So if you're in a 6 personal year, you might find that the world is bringing in all these different endings and changes, and creating voids. And the news, you might not want to watch the news, especially if you're dealing with and your priority is your family. So if you have a 6 personal year and family comes up, put that focus into your family, no matter how hard it is. I know the universal year is strong, and whatever endings that the universal year throws at you personally, or your values, or however that affects you, it's got to be family comes first this year if you're in a 6 personal year. Okay. Oh, a 7 personal year. It's a good one to have, I guess, when the world the world changes around you. It is a good time for someone to have a 7 energy as their personal year, because they can sort of pull back, watch the changes, go back to their drawing board, reflect, walk in nature, spend time alone, really considering what I said earlier. How are these changes going to affect me personally? How am I going to react to those changes? Or how am I going to adapt to them? What lengths will I go to either rebel against or adapt to or manage what's going on in the world? So it's very much a time of self-reflection, self-discovery. Who am I now in this new world? Who am I spiritually? How am I going to manage what's going on? Maybe learn whatever's changing. Think about those endings, learn about them, research them, and then you can start really thinking about how you can change alongside that as you're in a 7 year. So it could work very well. The 8 personal year. There's going to be changes in the world, as we know. You're dealing with your own personal goals this year. Now, this can bring changes where you're being recognised or maybe not recognised anymore. This could affect what you achieve, how much you achieve, if you're in an 8 personal year, because you're in a go, 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 go personal year, where you're getting things done, achieving your personal goals and being recognised for what you do and who you are this year. But the endings in the world could bring some disruption with that at the end of the day. So again, it's or it could bring opportunities for you. The endings can bring opportunities for you to achieve more, to achieve better in your personal goals. So, this year, think about how this year has gone. It's going to be another year of energy, moving forward, achieving, but you're not going to have the conducive energy of the universe this year. The universe is going to be bringing in lots of endings, as I've been going on about since this video started. You're going to have to deal with your practical matters, your finances, and how they might change because of what's happening in the universe at the moment, in the world, in 2025. How do you act after or whilst these changes or endings are happening in the universal year? How are you still going to achieve and get things done? It could help the universal year, or the universal year could hinder if you'd already started putting security behind things, and then things start ending or changing, transforming, and you have to do those plans all over again. So it's going to be another powerful year for you with emotional changes happening in the world. If you're in a 9 personal year, well, It's not only going to be changes in the world that you're going to be dealing with, but it's going to be changes in your personal life, completions of a cycle, ending situations that no longer serve you personally. So you might find that the changes in the world that the power system brings changes or filters straight down into how that affects your life, or it's going to be personal changes where you decide that a relationship's gone the distance, or you've decided that this job has gone the distance, or this situation, this leisure thing that I've been doing for years, things that you've been doing for years, you start thinking, does this serve me anymore? Do I need to bring some changes in? These things I used to do may have helped me years ago, but do they still help me? And again, this could be related to the changes in the world, but it's going to be personal, so there's going to be a lot of emotional change for you in 2025 if you're in a 9 personal year with a 9 universal year. Lots of endings, but remember, it's how you deal with that change, how you adapt to that change, and how you manage your emotions through that change that matters. And that goes for all of us in the universe this year, because we don't want all-out war and riots and injuries now, do we, universe? No, we don't. So I hope you've enjoyed my video for 2025. If you want to support me, I'm on Ko-Fi. The link is there and also in the description box. You could support me on Patreon and a Soul Explorer. And also in the description box, I've got links to my books, my courses on Udemy, and they're all there. And I want to wish you all an amazing and intuitive and emotionally balanced 2025. Hello everyone, the final book of my Numerology Readers trilogy is here, and here it is. Here is the front cover, and this is all 3 in the trilogy for you here on the screen. But first of all, this is my first book. Well, it's like a prequel book, and it's for beginners in numerologies, and it's grounding for newbies and shows all the number energies in a personal chart. Then you have the first of the trilogy, and it's more for intermediate numerologists, people that want to really break numerology down and start using it as an art. It provides a deeper analysis of the lessons and challenges of your life path and birthday energies. So the reasons why you're here, a concise list of your priority life path tasks and your secondary life path tasks. They're not linked because the first column on the left is the most important column for you to work on, but also using the influence of the right hand column to achieve the lessons of your life purpose. Then looking at how your life purpose energies blend with all your talent numbers in your chart. So this is again the second in the trilogy for intermediate numerologists that provides an analysis of the lessons of the life path as they correspond with your main talent expression number, and it can be used for the numbers too. And then the third and final and new book of the trilogy, my intermediate numerologist books, which provides analysis of the lessons of the life path and the soul urge. And that's the motivation, a lesson by lesson comparison of how driven and motivated you are to learn the lessons of your life path. These 3 books can be used if you want to be a numerologist. However, if you just want to learn it for yourself, then just the first book, Remember Your Plan, will be for you.